Welcome back, Guardians. Zeus here, and Cascade is one of the trickiest heroes we've seen in a long time. The real challenge: finding the perfect team to unlock her potential. I've cracked it, and once you see this lineup, you will understand why Cascade can feel completely unstoppable. Let's start by breaking down Cascade's gameplay, because understanding how she functions in battle is the foundation for building the right team around her. Cascade's skills are like two sides of the same medallion. On one hand, they're incredibly powerful, but on the other, they can backfire depending on the situation. Take her skill Tidal Wave for example. It triggers often, which is great for dealing damage to enemy heroes. But here's the catch: every time enemies take damage, they also gain energy. So while Cascade is pushing out solid damage, she's also indirectly charging up the enemy team. And it doesn't stop there. When Cascade returns from her ability, she applies a watermark to enemies, which causes additional damage over time. Sounds great, right? But again, that extra damage means even more energy for your opponents. This is why Cascade really struggles in slow-paced teams. If your strategy revolves around dragging battles out, her constant chip damage can actually work against you, fueling the enemy's ultimates faster. Here's a perfect example: think about Amira. Amira's whole design is to build energy quietly and then unleash one devastating ultimate to wipe out the enemy team. If you put Cascade in the same lineup, you're working against Amira's concept. Cascade keeps poking at the enemy, charging them up, and suddenly, instead of Amira wiping the board, the enemy team reaches their ultimates first and can actually take her out. That's the risk. So the takeaway is simple: Cascade doesn't belong in slow setups. Instead, she shines in fast-paced teams where her constant pressure creates tempo, forcing the battle into a high-energy exchange. And yes, I know what many of you are already thinking: Orion. You're absolutely right. Orion is one of the best partners for Cascade because he thrives in that rapid, high-damage style of play. What I want to do here is share my own testing and experiences, so when you try Cascade for yourself, you can use my logic as a starting point. I'm sure the community will discover even better variations down the line, but this is what I've found so far. Now, with a fast-paced approach in mind, I've tested Cascade alongside many different mages. Some combinations worked because of natural synergy, while others just didn't keep up with the speed required. One of the strongest lineups I've tested looks like this: Krista with Merlin, Nebula with Kayn, Cascade with Biscuit, Orion with Axel, and Helios with Chorus as the team pet. This setup has all the speed and firepower needed to overwhelm opponents. Here's why it works so well. Nebula is positioned between Krista and Cascade, meaning her equilibrium skill is boosting both of their magic attack stats. That boost is huge, around 173k additional magic attack. To put that in perspective, Krista already has a magic attack of about 140k. Add Nebula's buff, and suddenly Krista's sitting at over 313k magic attack. That means her basic attack alone is hitting for around 144k damage. That's massive for what should just be a normal attack. Meanwhile, Cascade benefits from the same buff, and her tidal wave damage skyrockets. With Nebula's support, Cascade's waves are hitting for more than 150k per enemy. But all of this high damage output needs magic penetration support, and that's where Orion comes in. Not only does Orion deal impressive damage himself, but his magic penetration boost ensures that Krista and Cascade hit at full power instead of being dulled by enemy defenses. Helios rounds out the team by punishing critical hit attackers, making it risky for enemies like Kira or Dante to unleash their creep-focused skills. With this lineup, battles rarely last more than 20 seconds. The damage is just overwhelming, and in my tests, This team has easily shredded most Lyria-based setups. The only real weakness, as usual for mage-heavy teams, is Isaac. The rest of the lineups I tested are mostly variations of this core, and I want to explain the reasoning behind each one so you can see the logic clearly. For example, replacing Helios with Lars creates new synergies. Like Cascade and Krista, Lars applies watermarks. With those marks active, Lars deals 220% more damage on every attack. On top of that, Krista's watermarks heal the team, Cascade's refluence skill adds even more damage, and the synergy really stacks up. The downside is that Lars isn't naturally fast, so he drags the tempo a bit. But the synergy from watermarks is undeniable, and in the right situation, it's worth it. Another option is swapping Lars or Helios for Augustus. This changes the entire dynamic. All that massive damage we talked about gets converted into pure damage, and with Orion's support, it happens quickly. Pure damage bypasses defenses and can end battles in record time. But there's a drawback: Krista's healing through watermarks relies on magic damage. Since pure damage doesn't count, you lose that sustain. So while the damage spikes harder, you give up healing in the process. There's also a lineup with Krista, Nebula, Cascade, Lars, and Augustus. The idea here is stacking synergy and conversion, but the issue is speed. Without Orion, the team slows down, and Augustus needs time to reduce enemy magic defense before the full damage impact kicks in. So while it's strong, it doesn't have the same quick finish. Now, in certain battles, Folio can step in as a replacement for Orion. Folio drops enemy intelligence, which lowers their magic defense, opening the door for Krista and Cascade to deal more damage. It's not as fast as Orion, but against teams without Sebastian, it can work well because Folio's debuff sticks. Peppy and Polaris are also interesting alternatives for the last slot. Both bring control elements to the table. Polaris can skyrocket your team's magic damage with her boosts, but sometimes she feels like she can't quite keep up with the speed of this lineup. The new war flag might change that, though, giving her the tempo she needs to fit right in. At the end of the day, the core of this team is always Krista, Nebula, and Cascade. Those three together are the foundation. The last two slots are flexible and should be adjusted based on what enemy lineup you're facing. Orion, in particular, feels almost essential because he fits so perfectly into the pace and damage profile of this strategy. And after 3 days of testing non-stop, this is the best team I've been able to put together. If you've discovered something even stronger, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. So to wrap it all up, Cascade is not a hero you can just drop into any lineup and expect results. She's all about tempo, fast teams, quick bursts, and non-stop pressure. Pair her with Krista, Nebula, and Orion, and you'll see just how devastating she can be. Mix in Helios, Lars, or even Augustus depending on the matchup, and you've got flexible options to adapt to almost anything. Now I want to hear from you. What teams have you tried with Cascade? Did you find a synergy I didn't cover here? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I read them all, and your ideas often spark the next video. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, so you never miss my latest strategies and team guides. Remember, Hero Wars is a game of momentum, creativity, and smart choices. Take what you've learned here, test it in battle, and push your teams to the next level. Salute and friendship.